Let's get something straight. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's not about waking up every single day with a smile on your face and a fire in your chest. Discipline is about doing what must be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Here's what most people get wrong. They think discipline is a talent. They think it's something you're born with, or that you wake up one day and just decide to be disciplined. But that's not how it works. Discipline is built like a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. The first powerful key is understanding that motivation is unreliable. Motivation is like that friend who hypes you up when the music is loud and the lights are bright, but disappears when things get hard. Discipline shows up when motivation doesn't. That's where your real growth begins. When you're tired, uninspired, uncertain, those are the moments that build your legacy. Second, you've got to get clear on your identity, because the fastest way to change your actions is to change your self-image. If you start telling yourself, I'm someone who never quits, I'm someone who always keeps my word, I finish what I start, you'll begin to act in alignment with that. You won't need reminders. You'll become the kind of person who simply does what needs to be done. Now here's the third powerful shift, emotional leverage. If you're not emotionally connected to your goals, you won't follow through. You need to link massive pain to staying the same. Let yourself feel what it costs to procrastinate. Let yourself feel the pride of following through. When you assign real emotional weight to your actions, you become impossible to stop. Own your mornings. Your morning is your anchor. If you start your day with chaos, distractions, or negativity, you set a tone that kills momentum. But if you own the first hour, whether it's with movement, meditation, journaling, planning, you signal to your brain that you're in charge. Your body follows your mind. Start strong and you stay strong. Key number 5 is this: your environment must support your discipline. You can't be around people who normalize laziness and expect to rise. You can't leave junk food on the counter and expect to eat clean. You can't sleep next to your phone and expect to wake up energized. Design your surroundings so discipline becomes the path of least resistance. Make excellence easy and temptation harder. And finally, the crown jewel of discipline, delayed gratification. This is what separates the amateurs from the elite. It's the ability to endure boredom, fatigue, and resistance in pursuit of something greater. When everyone else is chasing the quick dopamine hit, you're investing in the long game. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you dangerous. That's how you win. Let me remind you, discipline isn't a punishment. It's not restriction, it's freedom. The more disciplined you become, the more you trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Because at the end of the day, it's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not even about opportunity. It's about who's willing to show up every single day, no matter how they feel. That's the person who builds a life that others only dream about. Everybody loves the idea of motivation. That spark, that adrenaline, that sudden burst of inspiration when you watch a powerful video or hear a story about someone who came from nothing and made it to the top. But let's get real. Motivation isn't what gets you results, because motivation fades. It's not built to last. It's a starting point, not a sustainable fuel source. If you're waiting to feel motivated before you take action, you're already behind. You'll lose to the person who does it even when they don't feel like it. That's where discipline begins. Discipline is what picks up the slack when motivation dies, when the excitement wears off, when the New Year's resolution loses its shine, when the gym is no longer full. The pain of yesterday starts whispering, take a break. That's the precise moment where discipline is born. Discipline is forged in the fire of discomfort, not in the comfort of excitement. You have to understand something about the mind. It is designed for survival, not for success. It wants you to stay comfortable. It wants you to avoid hard things. So every time you wake up early to train, to work, when you push past the voice in your head that says, sleep more, or just skip it this once, you are programming your brain to obey your will, not your feelings. And that's where freedom begins. People ask, how do I stay consistent? The answer is simple, but not easy. You stop making your decisions based on your mood. You stop negotiating with your feelings. You stop asking yourself, do I feel like it today? And start asking, would the strongest version of me do right now? That question cuts through excuses like a knife. Discipline isn't some mystical force. It's a choice you make over and over until it becomes a habit, until it becomes your standard. You want to be great? You want to rise, then you have to stop relying on external motivation and start building an internal fire that doesn't go out when life gets hard. That means doing it when you're tired, doing it when you're discouraged, doing it when nobody's clapping for you, doing it when no one even knows. That's what separates the ones who just dream from the ones who execute. Because let's be honest, dreaming is easy. It costs nothing to wish. Discipline demands something from you. It demands sacrifice. It demands repetition. It demands you show up again and again until your actions speak louder than your intentions. And here's the truth. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're not just getting closer to your goal, you're becoming a different person, a stronger person, a version of yourself that isn't swayed by circumstances or moods. That kind of power is rare. That kind of control over yourself is what builds empires, changes legacies, and rewrites destinies. The world won't always give you the ideal conditions. There will be days filled with doubt, with chaos, with pain. And on those days, your motivation won't be enough. But if you've trained your discipline like a warrior trains his body, you'll move anyway, you'll rise anyway, because you've put yourself on something solid, not feelings, not hype, but principle. Here's the beautiful paradox. The more you practice discipline, the more motivation you actually create, because you start seeing results, you start feeling momentum, you start trusting yourself. And suddenly, motivation isn't something you chase anymore. It becomes something you generate. You become your own source of power. That's when life changes. So if you're tired of starting and stopping, if you're tired of feeling like you're capable of more, but not living it, then make the shift. Decide today that you won't let your emotions dictate your execution. Decide that your vision is worth more than your comfort. Every time you feel resistance, remember, this is your proving ground. This is your opportunity to separate yourself from the pack, because motivation will come and go. But if you build discipline, true, shakable discipline, you'll have something far greater than a spark. You'll have fire that never goes out. The most overlooked truths about discipline is this: your actions will never rise higher than the way you see yourself. You can write all the goals, build all the habits, read all the books. But if your identity is still rooted in who you used to be, not who you're becoming, you'll sabotage your progress every time. The deepest driver of consistency isn't your schedule. It's not your calendar or alarm clock. It's your self-image, because your identity sets the thermostat of your behavior. You can push yourself for a while, but if deep down you believe you're undisciplined, lazy, inconsistent, your actions will always snap back to match that belief. This is where people get stuck. They try to use willpower to change their life, but willpower runs out. Identity, on the other hand, is automatic. You don't have to force what you believe you are. Think about that for a second. If you believe you're the kind of person who trains every day, you don't debate whether you'll go to the gym. You just go. If you believe you're the type who follows through, you don't negotiate with your excuses. You execute. Because your identity isn't just an idea, it's your operating system. It's what runs in the background of every choice you make. And here's the truth: most people ignore your identity is not fixed. It's not carved in stone. It's flexible, moldable, shaped by repetition and reinforcement. Every time you take action in alignment with the version of yourself you want to become, you're voting for that identity. You're casting a ballot for a stronger self-image. You're wiring your brain to believe, this is who I am now. So if you struggle with inconsistency in the past, don't just try harder, upgrade how you see yourself. Don't say, I'm trying to be disciplined. Start saying, I am disciplined, even if it feels like a stretch. Even if you're not there yet, because your brain follows your words and your body follows your brain. What you speak becomes what you expect. And what you expect becomes what you accept. So speak the identity you want until it becomes the identity you live. Here's how you build it, one action at a time. Show up when it's inconvenient. Do the work even when it's small and unnoticed. Follow through on what you said you'd do, even if no one's watching. Every time you do that, you're stacking evidence. And the more evidence you build, the harder it becomes for your old story to survive. You start replacing the old narrative. I always quit. I never stick to things. With a new one, I show up. I finish. I don't need hype to stay committed. That shift doesn't just improve your discipline. It transforms your identity at its core. The reason most people never reach the level they're capable of is not because they lack talent. It's because they never shift their identity to match their vision. They try to create a new life with an old mindset. When their behavior doesn't align with who they believe they are, it creates internal conflict. And eventually they give up, not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't believe they belonged at that level. You want to build unstoppable discipline, then stop identifying with your past. Stop dragging around the baggage of your failures. You're not who you were, you're who you decide to be. And that decision happens in the present moment, not next month, when you feel ready, right now. Every day you wake up, you have a chance to cast a vote for the future version of yourself, not through talk, not through planning, through action, through follow through, through ownership. This is the work. This is the real transformation, not just changing your habits, but upgrading the very core of your identity. Because once you become the kind of person who doesn't quit, who keeps showing up, honors their commitments, that's when you stop needing motivation. That's when consistency becomes natural, because it's not what you're doing anymore, it's who you are. And once that shift happens, you become dangerous, because now life can throw storms, resistance, distractions, but none of it can shake you, because your identity is built not on comfort, but on commitment. And when commitment becomes your standard, discipline becomes your lifestyle. If you want to develop real discipline that lasts, you've got to stop relying on logic alone. People think they just need a better schedule, a tighter routine, a more organized planner. And while those tools matter, nothing without emotional fire behind them. Discipline isn't born in strategy. It's born in emotion. Emotion is the true driver of human behavior. People don't change because someone gave them good advice. They change because something moved them. Something hit them so hard emotionally that they made a new decision. They drew a line in the sand, and they meant it. You need to attach massive meaning to the decisions you're making, or you'll break them the moment resistance shows up. If your why is weak, your discipline will always be temporary. But if your why is deep, emotional, and personal, will carry you through the hardest days. You've got to link massive pain to staying the same and massive pleasure to growth. That emotional contrast is what wakes you up when it's hard. It's what gets you to say, I'm done playing small, done wasting time. I'm done being ruled by my emotions. You've got to feel it. You have to let yourself experience the cost of your inaction, not just intellectually, emotionally. Feel the pain of waking up 5 years from now in the exact same spot. Feel the frustration of knowing you could have been more, done more, become more, but you let comfort win. Let that sting. Because if it hurts enough, it will move you. Pain is not your enemy, it's your fuel. Most people run from pain, the people who grow. They use it, they channel it, they turn it into power. Now flip it. Picture the life you want, not just what it looks like, but what it feels like. Would it feel like to walk in full confidence, knowing you show up every single day? What would it feel like to have full control over your body, your habits, your emotions? What would it feel like to be proud of who you've become? That's your leverage. That's your fire. That's your edge. Here's where people mess up. They set goals, but there's no emotion behind them. So they say things like, I want to lose weight or I want to be more productive, but those are surface level. They're vague. They're empty. There's no emotional hook. But when someone says, I'm going to transform because I refuse to be the kind of parent who comes home exhausted with nothing left to give my kids, or I'm going to master my mornings because I watch my potential slip away for years and I'm done living in regret, that person is dangerous because they've got emotional leverage. They've got a reason that cuts deep. Emotion is energy. It moves you. And when you link the right emotion to the right action, you don't need someone to remind you. You don't need a pep talk. You just move. You execute. Because now your actions are tied to something meaningful. You're not just trying to be more disciplined. You're protecting your future. You're fighting for your values. You're honoring the standard you said matters to you. Raise your level of discipline, then stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what does this cost me if I don't? Really sit with that. Because if you can answer that question honestly, if you can connect to the emotional consequences of your choices, you'll shift. You'll stop skipping workouts, not because someone told you to go, because you've linked not going with emotional pain. You'll stop hitting snooze, not because of willpower, but because you've emotionally conditioned yourself to associate that choice with loss. And this isn't about guilt or shame. It's about awareness and ownership. It's about getting real. Because when you're honest with yourself about what's really at stake, you stop playing games. You stop wasting time. You stop living small. You start moving with intensity, with hunger, clarity. So if you want to become the kind of person who follows through, even when it's tough, even when it's boring, even when no one is looking, then build that fire. Find that leverage. Tie your actions to something that matters more than the moment. Because when the moment gets hard, and it's not logic that will get you through. It's not the schedule. It's not the checklist. It's the emotion. It's the reason. It's the fire in your gut that says, I'm not going back. I've come too far. I know why I started, and I'm not stopping here. Every day starts with a choice to take control or to surrender it. The moment you open your eyes, you're at a crossroads. And what you do in the first hour of your day sets the emotional, mental, and physical tone for everything that follows. You want to know how people become consistent, focused, and locked in. It's not luck. It's not willpower. It's the structure they create at the start of each day. Because the first battle you fight every morning isn't out there. It's inside. If you win that first battle, the rest of the day starts to fall in line. Discipline isn't about doing 100 things. It's about doing the right things with relentless consistency. One of the most powerful right things you can do is design a morning that sets you up to lead, not react. Most people wake up and go straight into chaos. They roll over, check their phones, scroll through social media, read the news, answer texts. Before they've even stood up, their mind is already filled with noise they didn't choose. That's not a morning. That's a hijacking. You've handed over your focus before you've even taken your first breath with intention. The most disciplined people, the ones who seem to always be in control, who perform under pressure, who stay grounded even when life gets messy, they guard their mornings like a sacred ritual, not because they're obsessed with routine, because they understand one truth: how you begin is how you continue. When you start your day from a place of calm, clarity, and control, you build momentum that compounds throughout your decisions. Every choice that follows becomes easier, more aligned, more intentional. You don't have to do what the world does. You don't have to wake up and run straight into stress. You can take back that first hour. You can own it. And when you own your morning, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. Maybe it's 10 minutes of silence to connect with your breath and your purpose. Maybe it's moving your body, even if just a short stretch or a walk. Maybe it's writing down what matters most today. Maybe it's simply refusing to touch your phone until you've spoken something powerful to yourself. The point is, you set the tone. You plant the seed of discipline early so it grows strong throughout your day. Because here's the truth. If you wait until the day starts pulling at you, if you wait until emails pile up, if you wait until everyone else's needs hit your doorstep, your energy gets scattered, your focus gets diluted. your willpower weakens. But if you train yourself to do something intentional every morning, to wake up with direction, to move with purpose, to remind yourself who you are and why you're here, you enter the day with force instead of fragility. And this isn't just about productivity, it's about identity. When you train yourself to rise early, to step into the morning with structure, you begin to see yourself differently. You start to feel like a leader of your life. You trust yourself more. You walk taller. You move quicker. That self-trust becomes the root of discipline. You're no longer chasing motivation. You've built rhythm. Rhythm beats motivation every time. You don't have to change everything at once. But you do have to decide what you're no longer willing to tolerate in your mornings. Maybe it's sleeping in with no reason. Maybe it's waking up with no clarity. Maybe it's scrolling for an hour before you've done anything meaningful. Draw the line. Replace one weak habit with one empowering ritual, and do it again tomorrow and again the day after that. Stack the days, stack the wins. Because the most successful, grounded, high-performing people don't have perfect mornings. They have disciplined ones. They don't always feel like waking up early, but they do it anyway. They don't always feel inspired at sunrise, but they create inspiration through action. That's the shift you must make if you want to rise. You stop waiting to feel like it. You stop hoping for the right mood. You create the feeling by moving first. Every day gives you one chance to declare who you are before the world tells you who to be. Start strong, start focused. Start with something that builds your inner fire, because once you win that morning, everything else becomes easier to conquer. No matter how strong your will is, if your environment is working against you, will eventually break you. People underestimate just how much their surroundings influence their habits, their energy, and ultimately their discipline. You could have the best intentions in the world. If you keep putting yourself in spaces that drain you, distract you, or pull you away from your standards, discipline becomes a fight you will keep losing. Your environment isn't just the background of your life. It's the silent force that shapes the way you think, feel, and act every single day. It starts with the physical space. Look around. Does your environment inspire action or promote laziness? Is it organized or chaotic? Empowering or draining? If your home, your desk, your car, your phone, even your digital space is filled with clutter, then that's exactly what your mind will reflect. Clutter creates confusion. Disorder leads to delay. When you design your environment intentionally, when you create space that reflects focus, clarity, and simplicity, you make discipline easier to access. You remove friction. You don't have to fight through resistance just to start. It goes deeper than just the space. Your environment also includes the people you surround yourself with. Take an honest look at who you allow into your world, because energy is contagious. Discipline is contagious, but so is laziness. So is mediocrity. If you're constantly around people who normalize skipping steps, making excuses, or settling for average, that becomes your new standard. Whether you realize it or not, you may love those people, but if their habits contradict your mission, you've got a decision to make. Do you want comfort or do you want change? You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your environment is part of that system. It should remind you of your values. It should push you to be better. It should be aligned with the kind of person you want to become, not the person you're trying to outgrow. That means surrounding yourself with people who challenge you. People who hold you to a higher standard. People who don't let you coast. The truth is, if you're always the most disciplined person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to be around individuals whose very presence raises your game. You also need to think about your digital environment, the apps you use, the notifications you get, the content you consume. Because if you wake up and the first thing you see is negativity, noise, or distraction, hijack your mind before you've even had a chance to focus. Your brain wasn't designed to process hundreds of inputs before breakfast. So if you don't protect your digital space, it will steal your discipline. Unfollow the noise. Mute the drama. Block the distractions. Create space for stillness, for vision, for execution. Now understand, this environment isn't just something you respond to. It's something you create. It's your responsibility to design an environment that serves your vision, not your excuses. Set up your space for success. Lay out your clothes the night before. Prep your food in advance. Put your phone in another room. Build systems that make the right decision the easy decision. That's how you stack discipline. Not through constant willpower, through intelligent design. Make discipline automatic by making your environment aligned. Most people are trying to change their life while living in the same conditions that created their struggle. That's a recipe for frustration. If you want new outcomes, you need new inputs. If you want stronger discipline, you need a cleaner, clearer space. You need higher standards for who and what gets access to your energy. You don't have to cut everyone out or move to a mountain, but you do have to become intentional. Every element of your environment is either reinforcing your discipline or eroding it. So ask yourself, what needs to be removed? Needs to be rearranged? What needs to be upgraded? Because when your environment aligns with your purpose, discipline doesn't feel like a grind. It becomes your rhythm. It becomes the default, not the exception. Once your environment starts working for you, not against you, that's when you unlock your full potential. That's when showing up consistently becomes a natural extension of your space, your people, your tools, your world. You don't just build discipline by working harder. You build it by thinking smarter. And there's nothing smarter than crafting an environment that makes excellence inevitable. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, if you want to rise while others plateau, you must master one of the most difficult yet powerful disciplines a person can learn, the ability to delay gratification. In a world that rewards speed, that worships instant results, that hands out validation and likes and swipes, the person who can wait, who can endure, who can hold the line while everyone else chases quick relief, that person becomes unstoppable. Because the truth is, success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most patient, to the ones who are willing to say no to now so they can say yes to what they truly want later. We live in a culture addicted to shortcuts. Everyone wants the hack, the fast track, the secret nobody else knows. The truth that very few are willing to accept is this: the shortcut is consistency over time. It's waking up every day and choosing purpose over pleasure, choosing effort over ease, choosing progress over comfort, not once, but again and again until it becomes who you are. That's the essence of delayed gratification. It's saying, I know what I want in the moment, but I know what I want most even more. That kind of thinking isn't natural. It has to be trained. Because the mind always seeks comfort. It wants the cookie now, the rest now, the escape now. But when you train yourself to pause, to interrupt that impulse and ask, what's the long-term cost of this short-term choice? You begin to take back control. You build power. You become someone who doesn't get pulled around by cravings and urges. You move with purpose. You move with intention. This is what separates people who live average lives from those who live extraordinary ones. It's not more knowledge. It's not better luck. It's that most people are unwilling to be uncomfortable long enough to see real results, to feel good today, even if it costs them tomorrow. But the ones who win, they flip it. They're willing to feel uncomfortable now because they know it builds a tomorrow worth showing up for. They understand that success is rented. Rent is due every day, not just on the days you feel good. Discipline is the bridge between what you want right now and what you want most. And every time you choose to delay gratification, every time you say no to the easy road and yes to the meaningful path, you're laying another brick on that bridge. It's not about denying yourself pleasure forever. It's about earning it. It's about saying, rest. But after I've done the work, I'll celebrate. But after I've earned the victory, that kind of patience, that kind of emotional maturity, that's rare. And that's why it's powerful. Here's what most people miss. Delayed gratification doesn't mean you don't feel good now. It means you feel good for the right reasons. It's the pride of pushing through when it's hard. The satisfaction of stacking wins. Quiet confidence that comes from knowing you didn't give in to weakness. That kind of fulfillment doesn't come from a quick fix. It comes from staying true to your values when it's hard. From keeping promises to yourself when no one else would know the difference. That's real self-respect. This is why long-term thinkers always win. Because while the world chases the dopamine of now, they're building something unshakable. They're doing the reps others avoid. They're putting in the hours no one sees. And eventually the compound effect kicks in. One disciplined day turns into a week turns into a month becomes a new standard. Others are stuck in a cycle of starting over. They're rising brick by brick, choice by choice. So when you're tempted to take the easy path, remember this: nothing great is built in comfort. Greatness is built in the resistance, in the silence, in the quiet moments where you say no to what feels good now so you can experience what feels right later. The gym session you almost skipped, the hour of focus you almost delayed, the habit you almost broke. Those moments are the training ground. That's where real power is built. You're not just delaying gratification, you're developing resilience. You're forging a mindset that can't be broken. In the end, it's simple. You can either choose the pain of discipline now or the pain of regret later. One weighs ounces, the other weighs tons, but only one leads to freedom. The choice is always yours.